Excellent. So we've kind of done a multiple part series to try to get everybody on the same page with regard to strategy, core strategy, trying to identify turning points in advance with a very high degree of accuracy, looking for institutional and bank demand and supply levels on the charts, and the goal is to buy where the banks are buying and sell where the banks are selling. Remember, it's very simple actually. If you think about it, when it comes to trading and investing, banks and institutions, for the most part, make quite a bit of money. Retail traders tend to not do very well. So the goal is to start to think and act like an institution, right? All right, so that's really what we do here, and we want to identify that order flow, that demand and supply in the price chart. So what we learned in those lessons, let's start to apply in the live markets today. How you doing? Good to see everybody. So last time we were together, we had that sound issue. Everybody remember that? Apologize for that. I don't know what happened there, but I think we're all good to go today. But if you remember, what we were talking about was this euro demand level here, and price was actually right down into this level. And I think it was great that price was in there because it's good to see this stuff either work or not work in real time. You know what I mean? And I remember when prices were down there, we were talking about it and talking about who's buying and who's selling. Anybody take this trade? I know our sound went out a few minutes after this one, but and why I ask is, when we were talking about it, there was a big red candle right down into this area. Yeah, and I said I was not going to take it, and I didn't. One of the other reasons was my connection at the time seemed pretty horrible. But anyway, so yeah, so Alex took it. All right, that's okay. There's plenty more. So, but at the end of the day, to keep it simple, I'm not going to go over this on every slide, every chart we look at, but just to get everybody on the same page. With this area right here, prices are basing sideways, strong rally in price. Who has an account size to cause a rally like this in the euro? Right? Is it retail traders or banks? Right. Folks saying you took it too. All right, nice job. Yeah, well, it's probably not retail traders, right? So based on the odds enhancers we go over, how much time we spent at the level, how prices rallied out of the level, and so on, and a few other odds enhancers, we determine that, banks, institutions are on the buy side here. And guess what? Right here at this point, you run out of sell orders, so price has to go up. That's how it works. When we come over here to the right, we think, okay, who is now remember, for those that are new to this, we're not trying, this big green candle right here, this big move, with the strategy, we're not trying to predict that move, and we're not trying to make money when prices rally like that. Okay, make sure you understand that. That's not the strategy. Okay. And instead, we let this happen because once it does, that gives us all the information we need for a very, educated kind of trade right around the corner. Right. Now, if you look over here to the right and think about the buyers and sellers here, we already determined who the buyers are, but who are the sellers when prices come back to the level? And this was right during our session. Right? When prices come back to this level, who's the seller? Is it a retail trader or a bank or institution for the most part? Okay. And ask yourself this question. Who would sell after such a big drop in price? And who would sell into a price level where demand exceeds supply? Only a novice retail trader, right? So that's what we want to do, is be able to identify those two groups. And when those two groups are matched up, or I should say when those two groups are clearly matched up against each other, that's when we want to take action. Make sense? Okay. All right. Yeah, so hold tight. You're right about that. So just what you want to do is just, take out that overnight action or just make sure that that there's some day session action in there too, and that level is still fresh when looking at it that way. All right, so that was that level. Worked out pretty well. Okay. Now let's move on, and what do we have going into today? Well, prices are kind of back down into this area, so let's pull up a 30-minute chart and take a X-ray snapshot inside this area. Let's take a look. So I'm going to go down to the euro on a smaller time frame, and when we do that, okay, we've got two supply levels above current price. We've got one here, 123.40. Okay, actually starts just before that. So looks like about 123.37 to 123.45. So you'd want your stop about 48. Okay. And again, we're now, during this session, we're just applying the strategy that we learned during our time together, those lesson times. So let me just draw this in. So there's our stop. Okay. And looking at the chart, well, to determine our target, we want to see how far did prices drop away from the level before returning back to the level. So whatever the low is at the time, whatever the low here is at the time we meet entry, our first profit target is just going to be just above that low. So already this is shaping up to be a risk reward of at least 4 or 5 to 1. Make sense? Yeah, and trader, that's what usually happens. The news just speeds up what was going to happen anyway. I know a lot of you have realized that already, but in case you haven't, that's really how it works. Okay, and the red line would be a stop there. All right, let's move on. This upper level here, this is rally-based drop. That's the level we focused on a little bit more. Right here. Yeah, I'll refresh the chart for you. Okay, so that's the level we focused on a little bit more, and but prices need to get through this one first. So I think we're good here with what we have. Okay. All right. So we've gone over a couple so far. That one looks really good. Let's move on from here. Oh, the other thing I want to do is go down to a smaller time frame and see if and where there's a buy point below. Let's see. So I'm going to blow this up, and I want to go left and look inside here at all. Not a whole lot in there at the moment. Let's see, Brian. Yeah, that's what I was just going to look for. Yeah, we'd probably go with this area right here. I'm not in love with it, but let me refresh the chart. Yeah, that's another thing. Not only are these levels that we're looking at turning points, but they're also magnets for price. Remember, that's where banks and institutions have their buy and sell orders. So, okay. So they're going to be natural magnets, right? Yeah, so trader, it depends how prices left that level and what the profit margin is. If you still have a good profit zone on that new move, then yeah, we would treat that as a new level. Okay. We're going to watch this area down here. But I'd probably be a buyer just below it. To be honest with you, let's just put a little some lines down here. There's that one, and that one. Okay. Give me just a moment. I want to share something with you. Oh, that's okay. I'll come back to it later on if there's time. All right, let's move on. So I think we're pretty clear on the euro. We've got some areas below, some areas above. That trade right here. This is all. This is done. Okay, completed. RV on the 4-hour chart. Let's look. So you're talking about this one down. Oh, you're talking up here. This one? I think you're talking about this one right here. So let's take a look. And here we go. Let me draw this in and then I'll recapture the chart. Okay. Yeah, so this one over here is going to be a little bit better than this one, but let's go down to a smaller time frame and investigate this. So on the 4-hour, we've got a little area right here. Let me go down a few time frames, and I want to take a look at it. What we probably just did was cover that whole area I just circled on the 30-minute chart. I'm sure that's what we just did. Yeah. Okay. So you're taking this area right here. That looks okay. You know, with any of these, I wouldn't. Sometimes with you folks, sometimes I think I'm a little too careful and cautious as what I say is good or not good. But the reality is, you know, most of these I just take with the at least 3 to 1, and you know, you certainly don't have to be right every time. If one doesn't work out once in a while, it's not a big deal. It's a very small loss, but just make sure you hold the ones you do take and work out. Make sure you hold them to their target too, right? Okay. All right, let's move on. Let's go to another market. A good question there. Does news affect the trading decision? No, not at all. In fact, the news is what brings price to and from our levels. Okay, the news is good. We want the news. I'm saying, well, whether the news is good or bad, it doesn't matter. The news, again, just speeds up what was going to happen anyway. All right, let's move on to the next chart. Let's move on to the Aussie, if that's okay. The Aussie. So we're looking at multiple time frames of the Aussie. Take a look. Okay. Let's start with the 240, the larger time frame. All right. Here we go. 240-minute chart. I like the 240 or 180, whatever. Any larger time frame. Remember, as far as the time frames go, there's no magic time frame or anything like that. Sometimes I'll see around the internet, use the 77 tick chart with this moving average. It's like there's some secret combination of indicators and time frames that, magically works or something. Be careful with that. I've seen people waste years of their lives, with those kinds of thoughts. How the size of the level focus and how prices left the level are going to have a pretty big impact on that decision. So take a look at the 240 here. Now the Aussie has been in an uptrend for quite a while, right? Strong uptrend for a couple months, and that's good. That's fine. But even though we're in an uptrend and we want to keep buying pullbacks to demand levels in the uptrend, eventually you'll reach a price level where willing supply exceeds willing demand. That's how it works in any market, buying and selling anything. And on this Aussie, we've got one up here, and this one looks really, really strong. And having said that, I wouldn't just, try not to get in the mood of just picking and choosing. If you, for example, if you're in the XLT program and you've got your odds enhancer grid, just fill it out, and as long as the probability score is high enough, just, take the trade. Don't think about it. Always adjust your position size so that you're not risking more than you're willing to lose. Okay. All right, so take a look here. Here's our supply level. in the Aussie. This is going to have to rally, but it looks really good. Okay. Right up here. Make sure you have that level on your chart. What's nice about it is there's really nothing to stop prices from falling through this. And actually this right here. Price should have a pretty easy time falling through this, which means if there's some news comes out and we get a rally back up to this area, we'd be expecting a first target is going to be right down here. Let me draw it in. Just before this drop base rally demand level right here. Put our stop just above them. And remember, this session is for application of the strategy we've been working on with our sessions. Okay, so there's that chart again. Okay. Let's see, Market, I'm just reading what you wrote. Unreal, yeah, so this is a new supply level here, okay, for sure. We would consider this a new supply level. And prices fallen, you know, at least twice the size of this level. So we would feel comfortable calling that a new level. All right, so again, for those that are interested in this trade and comfortable with it, you'd be shorting a rally back to this level with a stop at the red line, just maybe 5 pips above the level. And the first target of this blue line right here, okay? And then we would look to rejoin the uptrend right down here. So that's a nice rally-based supply level. But we'd be looking to rejoin the uptrend, probably right in here. There's another good level below it, but this one, this is fine. Okay? Makes sense. We've got opportunity on both sides of the market. And with that time frame question, you want to keep your, when you're doing your analysis, you want to keep the time frames somewhat relative. But here's the thing: if you're short-term trading, let's say you have a 5-minute demand level that shows up, and you want to buy, you want to use it to buy. Like, you always have to look at the larger time frame to make sure that you're not right up against larger time frame supply. All right. Just like if you find a little 5-minute supply level, make sure in the larger time frame you're not right down, down into larger time frame demand. Now, to be a short-term buyer, in other words, a buyer in the short time frame, small time frames, you don't have to be in, at larger time frames demand, but make sure you're not near larger time frame supply. And that's really the best way we use those. Okay. All right. So I think we're good with the Aussie here. Yeah, so whichever way price moved out of that level AT, that's what we expect when it comes back. Unreal, I would say do it the opposite. Go a larger time frame down. Because let's say this Aussie let's say price in the Aussie was higher than it was now, closer to this larger time frame supply. If we started with the larger time frame and saw that, I'd go right down to the 5 minutes and look for shorting opportunities. Okay. Yeah. Well, you're looking for roadblocks on the larger time frames and opportunity. Make sense? For example, at Online Trading Academy, in the that supply demand grid I've shown you guys sometimes that I do each day. Okay. We've been shorting off of the S&P off some small time frame supply levels all week, and it's worked out great. Okay, I think 3 to 5 days this week. We've had it, and it's worked out great. 5-minute supply levels in the S&P, but the S&P and NASDAQ are right into larger time frame supply, so that's why we haven't been interested buyers. Make sense? All right, let's move on to another market, and what market we look at, I don't really care. Someone said They just took a trade. I don't remember what market that was though. But yeah, we can move on to another market. It doesn't matter to me which market we look at. Let's see. You know, Magnet's asking a great question. What is the trend? Well, the larger time frame trend is up. Smaller time frame trend is down. Okay, so find your levels and take your trades. That trend question is it's a never-ending question. If you're an uptrend on one time frame, it could be a downtrend in the other. Find your fresh levels. That's going to trump the trend any time. Okay. GY, yeah, we spent a lot of time on the euro already this morning. We've identified some pretty good opportunities. Let's go to the pound, I guess. I was just looking back to see what everybody wants. Let's do that. Okay, there's the pound. I've got some levels in most of these markets. I spent a lot of time on the currencies this morning. Let me grab the chart. All right, so if we start with larger time frame, which has kind of been in this range the past week. Okay. One thing I haven't said, look at the U.S. dollar. This is a major market for us when looking at other currencies, you know, against the dollar, right? So this chart in the upper left corner is the dollar index, right? I'm assuming most people know what that is. Now, if we look at this chart, we've clearly got some supply above, and I think it's important to look at this chart before we go over cable. And if we look at the smaller time frames, we've got a little bit of demand here. Nothing that great yet. It's developing though. Okay. So again, for us officially, this is not a demand level. We need prices to move out of there a little bit more. But I'll put some lines in just in case it does. There we go. Okay. Yeah, Alan, 2-to-1 is fine. If you want better levels, make that 3-to-1. But 2-to-1 is fine. Okay, so look at that's a 60-minute chart of the dollar. And we've got a little bit of demand below what's shaping up to be demand. And we need prices to move away a little bit more before we officially call it a good demand level. But then we've got that supply above. So what's the path of least resistance for price? What's the path of least resistance for price, up or down? You know, according to the chart right now, probably up. You know, which means the other currencies could fall. So what that is doing is supporting the supply levels, right? It's giving credit to the supply levels we're finding. Yeah, you know, low volume hours in the dollar, maybe a little bit, yeah, but you know, the currency, that's the one market where you know, in the S&P, for example, in those markets, yeah, during the U.S. overnight session, there's just not a lot of volume there. I actually don't worry about that too much and don't focus on that too much in the currencies. Never have. Been trading the currencies for almost 20 years. Okay. So let's keep an eye on that. Down below on the 30-minute chart, we've got a supply level in the pound. We need the pound obviously to rally a bit to get to this level, but hopefully that would bring the dollar down to this demand, pound into supply, and that would be our trade. Okay. All right. Next market, we can take a look. Let me just pull one up here. Let's see, I didn't see anybody type in, so I guess we'll just go maybe to the yen. All right. Oh, you know what? Let's see. Crude oil, Brian. Yes, crude oil has been what a mover. If you're in the mastermind community, we've been nailing that one pretty good at turning points. It's so volatile, which is great, and turning right at those levels. I don't trade currencies exclusively, no. Also the equity index markets, and mainly I do mainly everything through the futures. The equity index futures, the treasury futures, currency futures, once in a while the commodity futures, and the energies and metals. Just waiting for this chart to come up. For some reason, all morning the yen chart is taking forever. I have no idea why. So let's go back to, I don't care where I go. So euro pound, that's fine. Sounds good. I'll go wherever you guys, you folks want to go. All right, Alex, let's look at the euro pound. And remember, the first part of the analysis is any market, any time frame we should go through. So let's do the process with this one. Let's really because I don't have any levels on the euro pound, so let's do that together and let's run through the steps. So what we do is we want to start with the larger time frame, which I'll do right here with the daily. I'll say, okay, are we at or near larger time frame demand or larger time frame supply? There's the daily chart of euro pound. Okay, so what would you say? Are we near closer to larger time frame demand or closer to larger time frame supply? It shouldn't take you more than about 3 seconds, maybe 2 seconds, right? Yeah, we're closer to larger time frame demand down here, and larger time frame supply is not till way up here. Okay, so it takes me a few seconds to know that. So now I know when I'm going to the smaller time frames that I can probably look for small time frame shorts, but if I find any, I need to be very aggressive on profit taking. And instead, I should be trying to find small time frame demand levels to buy against. So I'm going to do that here and start with the 30-minute chart. There's a great level down here. Let me put this on a 60. That might clean it up for us. Well, I wouldn't call it great. But, let's see. There's a bunch of just pivot lows down here. Not in love with that. Let me try this. What I'm doing is I'm just taking X-ray snapshots of this chart, of this market, to try to figure out where the institutions are buying and selling. All right? Right now I'm looking for buy orders. So, and this is the area I keep focusing on right here. But, and I'll put this level in, but I'll tell you what the issue is. So this is the thing that will keep you out of trouble. If you look at this level I'm drawing in now, we're not going to use this as a demand level, but I see a lot of people who would. When people send me charts, I see this a lot of times. So you see that level I just drew in down there? Here's why, could prices turn there? They could, but we're always very careful because you see how there's a wick that goes below the level itself? Right down here I'm pointing to it. The fact that that's a big that's a big warning sign for this level. In other words, if there's so much demand inside the level itself, how are prices able to trade below the level here? Wouldn't be possible, right? In other words, you can't have any unfilled buy orders up here when price is trading down here. It's just not possible. You see what I'm saying? So, Okay. So be careful with that. Watch for that. So we're going to take that level out. In the larger time frame, we certainly have a level here, but I don't see anything of super quality here on the smaller time frames. Take a look at one more chart. Canada, dollar Canada, we'll take a look. Yeah, I just don't see a lot on the demand side here in the euro pound. Let's move on to another market. You know, that's one thing. That's another thing I do very quickly. I would never spend that much time on that chart. I try to go right to where the opportunity is. It only takes me a few minutes to do that. All right. So we got some news out. Markets are moving. Canada just. Is that a gap? That is a gap. Well, that doesn't happen too often. Okay. And let me go back here. Ah, yes, here's a nice supply level in the Canadian. I think someone shorted this here. I think you're talking about this level right here. Is this where you shorted? What else is good about this area is you have level on top of level, all right? Okay, so I guess we just had some news. Price gapped up into that area. Let's see. Yeah, so that's right around 90. I would say about 99.68. Okay, so some of you found this. Let's see, who typed that last question? Markov? No, I wouldn't worry about that. If you notice the last few days in the S&P, it's kind of been, or let's say the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ's been really hanging out right into, you know, the beginning part of that supply level on the daily chart, the NASDAQ. If you notice, it's been hanging out there for pretty much the whole week. And I'm seeing, you know, on the internet and in trading rooms, stuff like that, everybody's shorting the equity index markets. What I started to see yesterday was people saying, oh, I'm giving up on this. I'm giving up on this. And I talked to one of the XLT instructors, and they said, yeah, a bunch of the students are bailing on this level, meaning they're just not going to sit in it anymore. And that's a clear sign that prices are going to fall. As soon as retail stops selling up there, that's when you see prices decline. So I would almost say the opposite of what you're asking there, and that it's often a good sign, not a bad sign. Okay? All right, so here's the Canadian. Pip runner, I don't think so. No, I don't think that's going to have much to do with it. You want that. Okay. So if you're in this trade, just make sure you know where your stop is and all that. You can tighten up the risk. Now I drew this level on a 240-minute chart, but you can also take it off this 30-minute and bring your risk down substantially. But you would need your stop over 99.78. Okay, you'd need it just over 99.78. I'm just kind of drawing this in the big picture. Okay. All right. Let's go take a look at these equity index futures real quick. Normally we just look at the Forex markets, but let's take a look. Yeah, John, FGBL is a great market to look at with the dollar. And other markets for sure. So S&P really hasn't moved all that much. But what you want to notice with the S&P is, actually the NASDAQ's an even better picture. You know, you're right up into this larger time frame supply, and you have kind of this big pocket of nothing below. There's smaller time frame demand levels in here, but not a whole lot. Okay. Now it's Friday. I wouldn't be surprised if we closed, you know, if you're going to get a big drop in price, you're probably going to get a strong bullish Friday close, which would be great. But I don't know that we're going to get that. Okay. I could go to another market. Any market anyone wants to look at, I can go to another one. You just let me know. Going once, going twice. Let's see. Gold? Sure. Let's look at gold. A lot of people look at gold. A lot of forex traders look at gold and trade gold. We'll look at the gold futures, COMEX gold. Okay, here we go. It's falling. So let's take a look. Now, in the larger time frame, the level that we've been looking at here and trading against at Online Trading Academy, I will show you, is this level right here. Okay. Oop. Here we go. All right, so there's start with the larger time frame. Okay, so we've been trading off this larger time frame supply level in gold, expecting prices to come down to this blue line. While we haven't made it down to the blue line, you know, every time we touch this supply level, we've been looking at this for weeks. You know, you fall off of this level. So that's where we're at in the larger time frame, and really focus on this. So you see how you've got some strong supply sitting just above current price? Okay, so that's the upside. Now, if you look below, notice all these pivot lows right here. So what these pivot lows are, here's the demand. Every time we come back to this demand, we're absorbing some of the buy orders there. So what's happening to the demand in this picture at these pivot lows? Is it getting stronger or weaker? Getting weaker, yeah. Right? So with supply just above and little to no demand left below, what's the path of least resistance for price? Up or down? Yeah, it's going to be down. Exactly. And when you think of it like that simple motion into mass question, you know, it's not often you're going to be wrong. And then of course we expect this blue line is where the next fresh demand level is down here. So we'd be expecting to move down to there. That's the larger time frame. Having said that, let's go down to some smaller time frames and see what we have here. Not a whole lot to do there. I'm trying to look for something pretty close to current price. Nothing in gold right here, close to current price. Yes, good question, trader. So yes, we have been back to this supply level I just showed you 3-4 times. But the more important question, and what we go over in the XLT, I'll give it to you here, is what's more important than how many times you've been back to a level is how deep you're going into the level, right? Right? How deep you penetrate into the level is a more objective way of assessing how much supply is there than how many times you touch the level. Make sense? So the fact that price is barely touching this level and falling tells us it's probably pretty strong. Okay, let's move on. Let's go back here. I'm just going to take a quick picture. Oops. So let's go back to the euro for a minute. We started with the euro. We set up some trades in the euro. I don't think anything is come close to hitting, but there's the euro. Let's see if anything's hit and if anything's developed. Prices are going in the opposite direction. The dollar's rallying as expected because we've got demand below, supply far above. So euro's not likely to hit the supply level. But if you notice on the smaller time frames, you know, we've got this area sitting right up here. We may have something here. I think this is an area of interest. I think it's an area we want to watch right here. And let me draw that in. There we go. All right, so we've got, I just put a little supply level on a 10-minute chart above current price. Now, I'd like to see us decline a little bit more before we come back to that one, but nevertheless, you probably have some supply up there. Let's just take a quick peek below. I don't think we're gonna, we're not gonna have anything down there to stop it, stop price from falling. Okay. So this is at 122.60, 122, call it 68, with a stop at 122.76. All right. Again, we would like to see price decline a little bit more before calling that a quality supply level according to the odds enhancers. So I'm going to draw it in anyway, and we'll keep it in there. We'll take a look and track it and see how we did next time. Okay. All right. I think we're good there with the euro. And notice when I change time frames, these charts always change, but this one in the upper left corner doesn't. And I'll tell you, no matter what market I'm trading, the dollar is a part of the decision. Okay. And the key for me is when I can, when the dollar's coming into one level, and a market like the S&P, Euro, and so on, coming into an opposing level at the same time, all right, that's that's a key high probability correlation that we want to pay attention to. Make sense? Yeah, similar time frame, Haley, similar. Okay. It's not to say that the euro, that the S&P, for example, and the dollar are always moving in opposite directions. But when the key is when they hit opposing supply and demand levels at the same time, that's a pretty high probability event. Okay. All right, yeah, good stuff. So that's what we watch for. Remember that. Okay. Let me just do this. So I just put my email address in there. Okay. Yeah, if price goes into the levels, that means the level's being absorbed. So that's why we take the first pullback. That's a key odds enhancer. Okay. Yeah, hold tight. Definitely going to do that. So that's why I know we're kind of going to wrap up the session here. So there's my email address, sseiden@tradingacademy.com. Thanks for everyone for being here, and special thanks to FX Street and the sponsors at FX Street. They have some great sponsors, and it's really the sponsors that make all this possible. And FX Street. So that's awesome. All right, have a great day, everybody. And if you have any questions or comments, send me an email, sseiden@tradingacademy.com. We'll see you next time.